100% ready to talk about them. Are you ready?
Yep.
Let's do this. Too bad we're here. Hello, Internet.
Hola, Internet.
Welcome back to our I don't think we've ever come up with a name for this podcast. Probably somewhere around the 12th episode of our bi-weekly live stream on Twitch, where we talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. Honestly, whatever we want, but that's just typically what we like to talk about. So video games, board games, TVs, movies, etc., etc. I'm joined...
call it two dudes with glasses and various amounts of beards.
Various amounts of beards. They do vary from time to time. We are still here living our thing life. I still don't know if mentioning the thing will get you less views on YouTube, but I will note that the last episode we did not mention the thing and we instantly got more views. Could be coincidence. It's not science. I don't know what's going on.
YouTube
so anyway,
not science.
Hey Ryan, how you been? It's been 2
I'm
weeks
good.
since we did this last, but we have been talking a lot more lately for other reasons.
We have. Like somewhat under black market-y talking things, almost even. That was a horrible way of saying it, but I'm good.
We did ignore the law, I think. I don't know if it's a law.
The strong suggestion.
I don't even care. Come and get it, I guess. I don't know. So we still been playing a lot of Gloomhaven on Thursdays and some other days, maybe. I recently uploaded all of those to YouTube for whatever reason. I don't know. They're just there.
They're there.
If you'd like to catch about 22 hours of us playing Gloomhaven on Tabletop Simulator, you can click the old YouTube button in the panel below. That's also where you catch the previous 10 or 11 episodes of this podcast. So we've been having a lot of fun with that. I think I have been. I really enjoy the game. This is the farthest I've ever played through it, so I'm super happy for that.
And it's been fun.
It has been fun. And then I think was it Friday we had a test board game streaming night on my testing channel, which I thought went pretty well. The sound quality is okay. At first it was terrible, and then we cleaned some of that up. Hey Yoshi, what's up? Thanks for stopping by. We cleaned that up, and now it sounds okay. And so I think we are one step closer to actually having like an official streaming board game night. Hopefully we'll start up some Clank Legacy.
Yeah.
Be very excited for that. So we'll stay tuned for that. On our socials, it was nice because we got this rig above the table. I got a camera, a couple drop mics. I've had to order some lights because our lighting was a little off. But we got a fun thing with my cat getting on the table and trying to smack one of the dice around. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So other than board gaming virtually and in real life, what else have you been up to, Ryan?
A heck of a lot of disc golfing.
Ooh, I do love some disc golf.
Fantastic. It's been probably years since I've gone regularly. Like back in the day when we were young and hanging out and people didn't have families and stuff, we would go like easily like 4 or 5 times a week, if not every day of the week sometimes. And in the last few years, like there's been some years where I maybe have gone out once or twice. But especially with the whole thing we can't mention happening, there's been very little to do other than go outside and do things, and it's kind of rekindled my love of disc golfing. Like in the last 2 weeks, since most of the courses have kind of reopened, I think I've probably gone 8 or 9 times now in like so far this year, which is probably double what I have in any of the last 4 or 5 years.
That is probably infinitely more than I have over the past 10 years.
Probably.
Which is crazy to think that it was probably about 10 years ago that we were actually going on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Because I really have not gone on any regular basis since Ethan was born, and he's going to turn 9 this year. So,
yeah, it's been a while. It has been a while. But it's been good. There's a brand new course in Kingsley, which for those of you who are not from Northern Michigan, that will mean nothing to you. But they've had a course that was one of our kind of regular rotational courses for a while, but it was always a fairly simple, I would even say easy course in a lot of ways. But they just put in a brand new second course there, and uh, it is not necessarily a hard course, but it is definitely designed with more of a um, difficulty in mind, a higher difficulty in mind. Like it's quite long. There's one hole that is um, easily like 700 feet without, or is that the right? Yeah, probably like 800 feet without being a downhill.
That's right, Moose. We are not. This is podcast night.
Podcast night. No Apex tonight.
I'm actually playing in the background. I just let Ryan talk, and I get dubs the whole time.
That is not surprising.
It would surprise me. It's nice that you mentioned that because, yeah, Kingsley was, I think we actually talked about this a little bit in our last one, but Kingsley was like we're kind of bored of doing the same thing. So we live next to, I would dare say, a famous disc golf course. There used to be a website called Disc Golfers R Us, which was like a Facebook strictly for disc golfers. This was a long time ago. And we used to play. It does say I'm playing it? It's not what I told it to say. Hold on, let me check. My mod's telling me things. When my mod tells me things, I gotta listen. Okay. Well, Twitch is straight bonkers, going nuts right now. I just clicked on the page to edit. It just that's weird. That is not what I told it to say at all. I think Twitch is having problems because my other screen that's got the console up, it just like reloaded 30 times and is about to fall off the planet. So
well, for what it's worth, I was also showing it as saying that you're playing Apex. I just didn't really look at it until now.
Yeah, well, I don't know, whatever. I think Twitch is having issues. Anyway, none of that matters. We'll just keep going. I tried to fix it. I wish I was being funny. I'm never that funny on purpose. it's always by complete accident. So I'm wondering if it it didn't load my tweet right either. That's weird. I wrote this whole, when I start up, not that anybody cares about this part, but when I start up the stream, I can type in the title and everything, and it actually tweets out the title I put in there, and I can adjust the tweet. And I did all that. I sat there for like 5 minutes getting it ready to go. And I clicked the button, and it did not do it. So that's super funny. Anyway, Kingsley was just kind of or I was getting there. Disc Golfers R Us was a website that was dedicated just as a social marketplace for disc golfers, which is kind of a weird thing, but I joined it because we were literally going, like you said, almost every day.
Yeah.
And the second I got on there, I labeled my home course as Hickory Hills, and I must have got 10 messages in the first day of people from not just around the state, but like California and other places. It was like, wait, you live next to Hickory? You're so lucky. Like, I'm like, what? Because I had no idea. Like, we just went there. It was just a thing. But I got messages from all over the place of people like going, hey, Hickory's like a fantastic course. We've heard about it. I wish I could go there. Or, hey, I was up there one time and we went out of our way to go play it and it was super fun. So that was the one we played almost all the time. It's really big, so not always would we go through the whole thing, but we played it all the time. Yeah. And so Kingsley was one of the ones we had in rotation that would be like, okay, let's not do Hickory for the 5th time this week.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, there really weren't too many courses that were around here. Like there was Hickory, which was like the big one, 24-hole course. We really kind of didn't realize what we had at the time because I think we can both agree, like the more courses we did kind of go out and discover, the more we realized that Hickory really was like awesome and everything else just kind of sucked. But there's Hickory, there was the Maple City course, which I would say is it's not quite on the level of Hickory, but it's pretty close. Like it's a good high quality course. And there was Kingsley that was just kind of like a meh. There was Log Lake out in Kalkaska that was kind of like meh. And back in the day, that was really it. Like there wasn't a lot of courses. Now there's courses all over the place up here where there's one in Sutton's Bay. There's Um, yeah, they're all over the place.
The old apartment complex I used to live in has one just around the place. Granted, they put that
Yeah.
in after I moved out, those SOBs. But yeah, they seem to be all over the place. Michigan, I don't know if it's like that in other states, but so we have Discraft here, like it's based in the state,
Mhm.
and it seems that disc golf is kind of a big thing here, which is nice because I do miss it. I'm hoping Ethan's probably getting old enough that he could probably start going out without much guidance and hand holding. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping we
we
get
do
to a
have
point
a
where we could do that like once a week and just take the kids out.
yeah, and I mean we have a pretty decent like 9-hole simple course. Like, well, it's like a minute from my house, which makes it probably like 5 minutes from your house at the Blair Township Hall too.
Yep.
And so like that's kind of like the thing. Like there's just these little courses all over the place where it's just kind of like, oh, they just decided to throw it in. But all that to say, the new course in Kingsley is really, really good. And I've done it like 3 or 4 times now out of those 8 or 9 times I've been out, and I'm pleased. Also, a couple years ago, they started redoing the Hickory course that Adam was talking about, where originally it was a 24-hole course, and now they have um, taken out most of, if not most of the holes that were on there, and they've redesigned it into two courses, two 18-hole courses. And right now, the South course is has been open for about 2 years now, and it's kind of painful to go on it sometimes because there's a lot of things like you'll get to a hole that will be like a reused hole from before, and it will just bring back the memories of the old course. But the new course, for the most part, is really, really good still. And a lot of the changes are actually for the better. There are some changes that I'm kind of like, kind of wish this was just kind of like the old hole instead. But all that being said, the new course is very good, and they're hopefully going to have the North 18 open later this year, and that will be the half that is almost completely new. Like there'll probably be a few holes they reuse, but um, it's kind of away from most of where the old course was for the most part. So we'll see. I'm kind of excited about that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been out. I would love to though. I need to. I still have a whole giant bag full of discs, so some point
Twitch
here
stream some disc golfing.
we could. There are people that IRL Twitch. I'd have to get some like I don't know. I don't know what you would need there. Hopefully the signal is improved at Hickory, and then we could, I guess, take a giant battery pack, plug my phone in a
Cell phone,
wireless, and
just
like
go.
put the cell phone on my head or something. Because I can stream from my phone. I did that once in a hotel room and just played Star Realms for like an hour. I was traveling for work one night. Um. So yeah, disc golf. That's a beautiful thing. And dead air. So what else? You want to get in it?
What new
Anything
things
else
have
for
you
me?
done, Adam?
Nothing. That's not true. I put together a couch. I think maybe I mentioned. No, we wouldn't have had it yet. So
No.
we got a couch. That's like the most exciting thing that's happened to me in a while. And we did I spent quite a bit of time working on that pod or the streaming for the board games, which I already mentioned earlier. But
Yeah.
so I think that rig turned out really well for what little effort I had to put into. Like most of the effort was getting everything mounted and the cabling run, and then get the computer all set up. And so I didn't have to spend a lot of time like drilling holes and going to town on it. So if you want to see pictures of it, I put them all on like all my socials of what we did there, and I think it looks really good. I'm excited to get the little lights in that we ordered and trying that out. Other than that, I've just been working a ton, so some of my work has changed. I now have somewhat of a management role, so I just work is taking up a lot of my time. I will say that one of the fun things, which I think you will enjoy, is Big Panic. Thank you so much for that follow. I appreciate you. Welcome to our podcast. Hang out, talk if you want. And I was just about to tell Ryan is thank you because my wife purchased Pokemon Shield. And she is crushing that game. It is actually quite fun to watch. So we're having a lot of fun. She's She picked the Fire Rabbit guy. He looks cool. I'll apologize. I haven't really played it. I've just watched her play it. So, but it seems like a really cool game. Like I watched a couple other people stream it. Now I've been watching her play it, and she's having a hell of a good time with it. So it's really fun to see Pokemon.
It is a fun game. Like I've played the only game Pokemon I probably played all the way through prior to this one is the original, like first generation one. I had Pokemon Yellow back in the day.
Yep.
And it's not that I haven't played the other ones, because I've played most every generation. I just usually get like a couple hours into it and I'm like, I feel like I've already done this a whole bunch of times and I just kind of don't care. But for some reason, this one is just like, yeah, I started it and like I never really reached that point where I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore, and it just kind of keeps you pulling and keeps you going. So
I think it helps that there's so many Pokemon, and then I think that it helps that now I haven't played like you. I have played them to like, okay, a couple hours in, I get it, walked away. The wife also played a lot of Pokemon Go Eevee. Or not Go, Let's Go Eevee.
Pokemon, yeah.
And it feels like they've done a lot of life improvement changes to the game over that old, because that one's basically a copy of like one of the originals, if not the original Pokemon. So
yeah, it seems to be the first generation redone.
Yep, it was all first generation stuff. And that was really fun. We had a blast playing through that too. But well, she did. I just watched, and. But I'm watching this one. This one seems a little more fluid. It lets you kind of the game doesn't get in your way like a 1980s game gets in your way. You know what I mean? So it's pretty nice. It's been pretty fun. So I guess thanks for that.
I mean, I did pretty much start talking to her about it, and she was like, "So is it really good? Should I get it?" Like, yes, you should.
As you're talking, she's like logging into the Switch and buying it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's so all good. All right. Well, I got some notes here if we want to start going through those.
Let's do it.
I want to start off on probably the saddest thing. So I've had this kind of habit of reading off some sad news at the beginning of some of these because somebody died in the entertainment.
Don't talk about it.
I feel we have to, because this is by far the most affected thing for me. Reading this was it was heavy because you don't think about it, but the dude was everywhere. And I'm of course talking about Fred Willard, died at 86 this week. And man, that guy was just everywhere. And like not necessarily always big roles, but at least little roles everywhere. And the guy was always hilarious. Had that really old school timing that you would find, and just the guy seemed to crush it in everything he did. So I mean, we're talking from Spinal Tap to Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman's. He was in the Austin Powers movie. Of course, A Mighty Wind. He played an Anchorman. He was even in an episode of the Weird Al Show. I actually remember that he was Lois and Clark. He played the president in The Adventures of Lois and Clark. So, I mean, you name it. He was in Chuck, which was, I know we've really liked the show Chuck. Yeah. He was in Community. He
sure was.
And of course, everybody kind of knows him lately for Modern Family, because that show, I haven't watched a ton of it, but what I have watched is hilarious. So,
yeah.
So rip Fred Willard. The dude was a legend. He was amazing. I spent like all of yesterday or whatever, last night or this morning or so, somewhere. I've lost track of time since the thing has happened. But I sat there and watched like 2 hours of just skits and weird things he was in. And dude was a genius. He was hilarious, and just, he'll be missed as far as things go. Like every time I saw him in anything, I was like, yeah, Fred Willard, that guy's great, and cheered him on. So,
which I will say, to his benefit, like I was actually surprised to see that he was 86. I mean, like he's always kind of had that old school look and feel, and he's always kind of like played the character of an older man, like as long as I can really remember.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I was like, but he's been so like active and still involved with things for so long that like when I saw it and I was like 86, like it's always sad when somebody passes on like that, but at the same time, I was like 86 is a good life. Yep. Like that's like, and just the fact that he stayed as active as he did so close to the end too is always a good thing, I think. But
Yeah, 100%. So definitely a long life. He definitely was a treasure and definitely will be missed. So
for sure.
now that we got
Now
that
he
out of the
brought
way,
us down.
let's try to pick it back up because we will miss Fred Willard. If anybody out there,
What
and
happened?
I know some people are young out there, if you haven't watched fucking Spinal Tap, go watch it. Like, fuck this podcast. Just go,
And when
go
you're done
watch
watching
it.
that, go watch A Mighty Wind,
Yes.
which is
Really good.
basically Spinal Tap Part 2,
Yes.
but completely different
Yes.
and not
Yes.
at all the same.
100%. Just brilliant stuff. Lots of pedigree when it comes to like the Spinal Taps and the, you got Rob Reiner in there, and then
Christopher Guest.
yes, Christopher Guest. Thank you. That was exactly what I was going for. So like some real heavy hitters when it comes like good, funny, maybe cult classic-y type stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so go watch This Is Spinal Tap, because that'll rock your socks if you have not ever watched that. So
That is probably the best. Well, I don't want to say it's the best movie that he was in, but it is one of the best movies he was in for sure.
it's
If not
probably
the
the most legendary, at least for me. Like out of all, I liked all that stuff. I've seen a lot of the stuff he's been in, but that one to me that's god tier for any movie buff, especially comedy buff. Like it's amazing. It is an amazing movie.
If you want to see, my personal opinion is, if you want to see Fred Willard in a role that is like the apex perfect Fred Willard role, watch Best in Show, which is another
Yeah.
Christopher Guest movie. But
Yep.
like he plays the announcer, and it's
He's
perfect.
He's
It's
on
perfect.
all the time. He just
Yeah.
goes. So yeah. Ooh, Fred Willard, rip. So what else we got? We just end the show there and just like
That's it. Like that's
play
the end.
play the
what else do
coffin
we have to
song.
talk about?
Play the coffin song out. Just sorry. I got things. I got more things. Is there anything pressing you want to? I always go with my stuff first. I don't want to trump your list. I know you spent a lot of time on it.
Notes.
Ooh, notes.
Woo. I don't have anything pressing. I guess the one thing that I did actually it was earlier today, and it was very exciting to me, is that I took the Epic Games spring sale where you get the $10 coupon.
Yep.
And I bought something that was not on sale with the $10 coupon, and that was the early access edition of Old Worlds. And I played it for like 2 hours today, and it is good, and I'm so happy.
I know I've heard of Old Worlds. I don't know.
It is basically a Civ type clone, Civilization type clone. It's not Civilization, but it is the lead designer on it. It was the lead designer of Civilization 4 back in the day. So he very much has transferred a lot of the Civilization feel to it.
Civilization meets Crusader Kings 2.
Yes, that is exactly how I would define it, actually. It is like the interface and most of the gameplay is pretty similar to Civilization as opposed to Crusader Kings 2. But unlike Civilization, that takes you from like the ancient civilization to the founding of the first cities, basically up through modern era and a little bit beyond modern day. This is very much just focused in the ancient era. Probably goes up to like the Middle Ages. I haven't played a full game yet, and it's still in pre-release, so who knows. But it definitely does not go to modern times. It's definitely focused on the old world, hence the name. But one of the biggest differences in it from Civilization is Civilization, you are the ruler of your country, and apparently you just live forever. But unlike that, in this game, you play a ruler, and every turn is a year. And as life goes on, like you seek out a wife or a husband, depending on what character you're starting with. And you have kids who are heirs, and eventually your king will die. And then the heir that you basically groomed and raised up will take over, and they will have certain bonuses, certain skills that they have based off of the choices you made for their education and different ways you've treated them as they grew up, or whether you just let them do their own thing. And so like that's where it's kind of like Crusader Kings, where it's like a generational thing. And it kind of just keeps rolling and rolling. And then on top of that, they put a lot of effort into making it a ongoing story that kind of reflects decisions that happen throughout history, that will affect your relations not only with specific countries like the different empires, but also with the different rulers of the different empires. So sometimes you could give up a whole lot of resources or kind of like bend over backwards to help out somebody so that you get on their good side. And then suddenly they go to war as a general and they get killed in the battlefield. And then their son takes over and he's like, my dad's dumb and I don't like him and I don't like you. And like all the effort you put in was just kind of like thrown away. And that was the end of it. So it's a really cool game. And
so how long do you last? Just as long as your kingdom can last, or what's the win condition?
Pretty much like if your lineage gets taken out, then that's the end of the game. And then it's like pretty much any 4X game, at least from what I've seen of it so far. Only playing 2 hours is like almost nothing of it. Like, so I really haven't seen the full breadth of it so far. But I imagine like at some point you either get to a time limit or else there are goals or like taking over the entire world, getting rid of the other empires or stuff like that.
Gotcha. Sounds fun. Sounds like something I won't play.
Probably not, but it is an amazing game.
I have tried to play like Civ and stuff with you guys before, but I don't last long in that game.
The turn-based games in you don't really quite seem to. Well, that's not entirely true because you like BattleTech, and that's turn-based.
I do, but it's. So let's be fair. I haven't finished it.
Wow.
So if we're gonna be absolutely fair, and Drenzy ever sees this, he's gonna yell at me, because we both really like that game, but I've never finished it. But I do like the idea. That's not the problem. It's just the pacing, and I am just all over the place. So the pacing gets rough for me. I don't like to wait. This is not to jump ship on the topic, but this is one of the reasons I can't stand Magic. So we've been kind of getting back into Magic, and I have this. It's turn-based, obviously. There's some kind of turn-based element to it.
Yep. And
I rage so hard. Like, I want to break everything when I play blue decks. Now, everybody says that about blue decks, as far as I know. Blue decks are dick decks. Like, I get it. But I don't hate them because you're counterspelling me. I don't give a shit about that. What I care about is when you're scrying through your deck for 32 minutes on one turn. Yep. And I'm just sitting here with my white-black deck that's just built for speed. And I have no options. I'm just going to go. My turns take literally seconds. And you're sitting there for 45 minutes trying to figure out what land you want to pull out of your damn deck. So, yeah, turn-based games, I will admit I do not have a ton of patience for. But I do like Civ. I think it's a fantastic game. I definitely played it. This game sounds good. I do like, if I'm going to go strategy game, though, I am definitely much more an RTS guy. I do enjoy, like, obviously StarCraft and StarCraft 2. I was really big into StarCraft. I did not get that big into StarCraft 2, but that came out, I think, while I was playing WoW religiously. So really, I played nothing for like 5 years there, maybe more.
Other than WoW.
Yeah, I didn't buy any other games. I didn't do anything. I think I bought StarCraft 2 just because I'm a Blizzard fanboy to some extent, and I did play. I never finished that campaign or nothing, which is weird because I was obsessed with StarCraft, but I was sinking every hour of my life into Worlds of Warcraft. So that game sounds good. What'd you call it? Old Worlds? Old
World. Singular.
Just one world.
Yep. And it's I think it's exclusive through the Epic Game Store at this point. Epic Game Score, if you want to sponsor us.
Give us an affiliate link. I actually looked, and most of the affiliate links for like Epic Game Store and stuff, you have to have like 1,000 plus odd like normal viewers or something in order to get, like, they offer a partnership program where if you send a link there, you get some percentage of the sales. So we're close. We're very close. So hit that subscribe, like, bell, all those things.
Push the buttons.
Get all those things. We are getting up there. If we get 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel, we can actually get our vanity URL So, or at
Ooh.
least I can. So I'll have /amped or whatever, which I can't have yet because we're a little over halfway there. So, that would, if you're hanging out, you want to go hit that YouTube button, hit subscribe. We'll appreciate it.
Do it.
As far as games go, I don't think I really have much other than, so Spectre Speed, who hasn't been on to troll us yet tonight, has been shopping this around. Apparently, he remembers this. I don't really remember this. There was a video game in 1996
Okay.
that was released with cereal. It was called
With-
Chex Quest, and they apparently had like a first-person shooter-esque game where you played as serial characters. There was 6 different characters.
Quest.
There was some I think they added multiplayer to it. They remodernized it, and it just hit Steam. It's free to play, and it's called Chex Quest HD.
I would like to note that I probably didn't know about it because I didn't eat gross cereal like Chex.
I think it's cereal. Maybe it's Chex Mix. I don't know. I actually don't know where this came from. It's just called Chex Quest. So yeah, there's 6 players, there's single player, and then there's split screen combat mode. You got to save the galaxy from nefarious Flamold menace. I don't know.
Wow.
So I'll put a link to that to the Steam store, not affiliated because we're not big enough, but in the description of the YouTube channel. But heck, I'll throw it in the chat here too in case anybody ever is
For
curious.
what it is worth, it is definitely a Chex Mix.
Okay.
Yep. At least the modern HD incarnation of it is.
Okay, I see like the pretzels and the rye chip.
Yep, and then you have the little
there's logos some
breadstick
places.
guy.
Yep.
And then the dark and the light Chex Mix guys. Oh yeah.
So this is all I'll be playing from now on.
Get ready for it.
Start streaming this tomorrow. Come back 2 hours a night. Just for
multiplayer
Chex.
mode requires 2 compatible USB controllers. I'll be over to stream tomorrow night.
I do have 2 cameras. We could sit in here and we could work something out. Anyway, that was really the only video game news I really think I had.
I have one video game news thing which is somewhat related to where I started, which is that apparently with the announcement of Crusader Kings 3 coming out later this fall, they have made Crusader Kings 2 and its base game variant free.
Ooh.
And I've owned it forever, but I've been looking and wanting to get into it and play it because it seems like my sort of game, and everything I've heard about it, everything I've read about it is that I would enjoy it. And every time I don't really do tutorials. I just jump into a game and I just go. And every time I've jumped into this game, I've played it for like 20, 30 minutes and be like, I have no idea what's going on, or why anything is happening, and this is not working.
So you're going to need a tutorial run on this one?
Pretty much. And so I've had a couple YouTube videos where they kind of walk you through that I've watched or started watching, and then if basically I need to sit down with like 2 hours, just open the game and walk through it with them is what I need to do at this point. I'm sure it's not as hard as what I'm making it out to be, but I also feel like as I get older and older, my video gaming has gotten worse.
Your intuitiveness
my intuitiveness, like I now understand to the slightest degree why people who are 75 don't understand how to change the input on their TVs. To the slightest degree.
That's fair. I mean, I get all that stuff. I just don't get things like TikTok.
Well,
that's my boomer moment. Now, granted, I 100% guarantee you, if I was 20 right now, or even 15 or whatever age people TikTok, I wouldn't get it either. Like this, no matter how age appropriate I would have been, that TikTok seems like the most pointless thing in the world. I hated it when it was the first thing that came out. What was the Vine? So TikTok is just like a solid ripoff of what Vines were.
Yeah.
A couple years back before that whole thing went under. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand this now.
Yeah, there were certain things on Vine that you swore by.
Oh, sure. There's things that would happen that you would laugh at, but as a whole, I didn't understand why the race needed it. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
The way I like to think of Vines, which is probably how I need to think of TikToks, is that they're essentially the meme equivalents of video.
Yeah,
It is
maybe.
not a perfect metaphor, but that's the only way I can make any sense of them whatsoever. But
That's
yeah,
fair. I still don't get it.
yeah,
So you're all strategy games right now.
pretty much. That is basically, yeah. Those games, Magic, us playing Gloomhaven, which I actually did go. Well, I suppose I'm not legally able to travel to another county to play Gloomhaven with family, but I may have
Hush,
done.
hush! They'll call the cops.
You don't know where I live. It's fine.
They'll triangulate us based on all of our disc golf conversations.
Oh no. Narrow it down to one of like 500,000 people in the region. Yeah. So I actually played some Gloomhaven, not on Tabletop Simulator, but in real life,
IRL.
IRL, and it was not as much of a pain in the butt as what I thought it was going to be. Like I'm so like accustomed now to just clicking a couple buttons in Tabletop Simulator and everything just goes pop, 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 and like, oh, setup was easy. Let's play now. And there definitely was a decent amount of setup. Luckily, my family members who I was playing with, their copy of it has the broken token organizer, which is very cool. It makes things easier.
Hero of Canton, thank you for that Twitch Prime. I appreciate that. That helps keeps the lights on. Helps us buy equipment. Helps us keep going. That's much appreciated. Get some hype in chat. I'll do it. I have my own chat. I don't care. I'm not.
Otis J is playing Civilization right now. Why is he doing that instead of listening to us?
I don't know. He's almost always in here.
What a jerk.
Hero of Canton, thanks for showing up. This is our bi-weekly podcast where we talk about all sorts of nerdy things if you haven't been here before. If you want to check out any of our previous episodes or hang out, that's fine. The previous episodes are on YouTube on the link below, or you can sit here and chat with us. We're kind of talking strategy games right now. Sounds like we're moving into a little Gloomhaven IRL. Gloomhaven is definitely super fun. We stream tabletop version of that every Thursday here on the channel. Ryan's kind of our game master, if you will, that runs us through the game, and we've been having a pretty good time with that. So you're playing IRL. Do you still use the unapproved apps?
The approved app, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we use that just because for the bad guys, basically you'd have like, depending on how many what scenario you're on, you'd have anywhere from like 3 to 4 individual little decks you have to keep shuffling constantly throughout the game. So there's an app we have for that, just kind of randomizes and flips up the cards for you.
I feel like I don't think we've never played it without the app. I feel, at least with me, and we've only played it here like a couple times and just like the first couple scenarios. But I feel like the game would almost be unplayable without it, because I watch how many when we play in the tabletop simulator. I watch all those. Like I go over and look at them because I think it's cool. But so it puts like 4 monster cards out, and there's 2 sides, and there's a deck on it, and it flips them all, and you got all these counters put on everything. Like it's pretty bonkers the amount of stuff just to take one turn if you had to do it all manually.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not a super simple thing, but when you're going through and you really have to focus on just doing like one person's turn, one action at a time sort of thing. And when you're doing it that way, it's never like overwhelming. It's just adds up to a lot as time goes on.
Sure. I feel like the couple times we played, it was always taking longer to set it up and tear it down than actually play the campaign.
yeah, that is the big thing. Part of it is that there's just so many map pieces, and there's not really a good way to organize them that makes things fit and makes it make sense. And so like you'll open up the campaign book and I'll say like, get these 3 specific map pieces, and then you've got like 50 map pieces to kind of dig through, and
Yep.
Of those map pieces, there's usually like 3 or 4 that are like similar sized. So like it's not easy to just grab the one. And it's like, oh, which of these 4 or 5 I just dug through the box to find are the actual right ones.
Yep. The game is intense. That's for sure.
But it's fun.
It is fun. Yay, games. And hopefully, really hopefully, next time we'll stream. We got to figure out who's going to play Clank Legacy. So,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people we need.
Is it still just 4 players? I guess we haven't opened the box yet.
Haven't even. I've been waiting to like get everybody around, so it's just kind of a thing. Like it's a big thing. So the Game of Thrones strategy game was absolute crap. Not buying it. I have not seen that, so I think I've seen it, but I haven't like played it.
Are you talking the Fantasy Flight like strategy or blood strategy, obviously? But there's a Fantasy Flight board game, and then there was a Fantasy Flight card game. But I'm assuming you're talking about the board game.
Let's see if I can find 2 to 4 players for
PC.
Clank.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't played a computer strategy.
There was a board game for it that I was interested in. There was also a Lord of the Rings-esque version I felt was like somewhat similar to Gloomhaven, but I haven't played either of those.
Maybe for real life, because they don't have it on Tabletop Simulator, maybe I should bring over Tainted Grail to play through too.
I would love that. I mean, I would be down for... I guess it'll depend on how we want to play it with Clank Legacy, and like if once we start, we just want to stream that game until we're done. I kind of feel like we should, but if we want to do a couple nights before that where we're just trying out different games for fun, 100% until we get all that done. Game of Thrones Genesis. Oh, I haven't even seen this before. Mostly negative reviews. No, that's from 2011. That's way out there. Older. Yeah, this has like nothing but terrible reviews. It's all thumbs down.
I feel like, what do I know? Cyanide. Oh, they do. Sticks. Okay. Space Hulk. That makes some sense.
Sticks was fun. I didn't beat it by any means, but the first couple hours I played, and I thought that was pretty good. A little goblin, kind of stealth action game. That was kind of fun.
Every time I see the Blood Bowl computer games, it always makes me think of Mutant League Football. And then I remember that there is a new version of Mutant League Football that's out that I've never actually played.
I don't think I'd want to ruin it, because the old school one was awesome. I mean, in the novelty of it all. So Spy Union in the game was cool. You recruited the spy and the ability to infiltrate the enemy castle. The next special unit they made acted like a special unit. Recruited actually your spy. That sounds overpowered.
Nice. Actually sounds really cool.
Oh, you can see what the unit saw. That's nice.
I especially like it looked like it worked, but
it didn't. Yeah, given the amount of bad reviews on this thing, I can't imagine much worked. That's pretty ridiculous. Ryan.
Yes.
Gloomhaven.
It's so good.
I know it is. What else do we want to talk about? You got any more board game funness? We've talked about Frosthaven like 30 times. That game went to be number 1, 2.45 million.
So far, the biggest thing about the Frosthaven Kickstarter is that within this last few days, they made some announcements about trying to get the backer kit up and going. And they haven't yet. Well, maybe it is now. They're supposed to start today, but it was all being delayed even as of this afternoon. But
so classic stick Kickstarter.
yeah, more or less. But the biggest thing is like they were like, oh, well, it turns out that we don't have like full on supplies for everybody if you wanted to buy, because they made part of the thing was like you could do the all in
Yep.
and get basically Gloomhaven along with Frosthaven, and they would ship Gloomhaven out this summer. It's kind of two different timings for shipping, and they made a really big push towards the end. Like, hey, if you want the extras, if you want to buy additional stuff, you want to get Gloomhaven, all that stuff, don't wait to put it into the in the backer kit. Put it into your bids, or not your bids, but your campaign contribution, whatever you want to call it. Do it now so we can reach this mark and be the highest grossing Kickstarter
Yep.
on
One final push to like see if they could break it.
Yeah. And so everybody did that. I did that. I added, because I already have Gloomhaven, but there was one specific add-on for Gloomhaven they had included on that. And so they made an announcement a couple days ago where they're like, okay, so with the stock we have in, we basically have 10,000 Gloomhaven everything. And there's like 80,000 backers. And then, so like, okay, I suppose that might be okay. And then they're like, and for when you include all of those who did the all-in option, who have already claimed them through the way they selected their Kickstarter backing, there's about 2,000 copies left of each of the things.
Oh no.
And like basically everybody blew up and were like, we all made extra large bids because we were going to buy these things.
Right.
And now you're saying you've got 2,000 of them left for like
80,000
people. 80,000 people, yeah.
So now they are Kickstarter.
yeah, pretty much. Which, I mean, I can kind of see that in some ways when you're thinking like, oh, we're focused on the new game. This other one is kind of almost like an afterthought for us, but we'll just give an option to buy it along with and all that stuff. But now they are going to offer essentially a delayed first wave shipping where they can fulfill everything, but it won't necessarily be shipping right away in June. Right. You were expecting to.
The way I take it with Kickstarter is that's how you got to take it. Like, you're lucky if you get the thing, right? Like, so, and I would trust these guys to get it done. They have a pedigree and stuff, whatever. But in most cases with Kickstarter, you're just lucky that you get the product, let alone get it on time. So, I mean, if I were to pay all that money, I'd just be happy that eventually I'm going to get it. Yes, it's going to suck that you don't get it when you thought you would, but it's Kickstarter. You should never have thought that you're going to get a timely release of something. Like,
sure.
When I backed, I want to say it was the Trogdor game. I don't know how long I waited for that damn thing to show up. Like, I'd forgotten I ordered it. It was like, which is kind of my experience with most people that Kickstarter stuff. Like, our friend Mindy kickstarts a lot of board games, and then they just show up one month and she's like, oh, I forgot I even ordered this because it was months and months ago. So
that actually just happened to me like a week ago. I got a package. I was like, what the heck is this? And I opened it up, and it was an expansion for a game that I had bought. Like, it was a Kickstarter. I don't think I ever brought over Edge of Darkness to play with you. I should do that sometime. It's the first thing I ever kickstarted on Kickstarter, and it's a really good game. It's a bit bloated in its packaging and all of the extra things they added to it for the sake of Kickstarter. But the gameplay is really good. It's a worker placement game. And it's got a really good theme, and it works. All of that being said, like 6 months after probably not even 6 months, like 3 months after I got the fulfillment of the game, they went on Kickstarter with an expansion for it. And I was like, I really like this game, but we really haven't played it enough. I don't know if it's worth getting it. But I ended up doing it anyways, just because I did like the game and it seemed worth it. And then I completely forgot about it. And it's only probably been like 9 months since the Kickstarter. Probably like 9 months. And so when it just randomly showed up, I was like, oh.
9 months is long enough time to wait.
Yes. But I've actually had some Kickstarters that were really good too. Like, I backed a second edition printing of a game, which those are usually a little quicker to turn around anyways. But I think the Kickstarter for that was in like January, and the expected ship date was like March. And I think I got it in April. Maybe it was May. But at any rate, it was like less than 6 months turnaround, which for anything on Kickstarter, I usually
Yeah,
feel
that's
pretty
not bad.
And then I've had other things that I have a game that I still haven't played, although my roommate and other gaming buddies have played a lot of my games that I have not played. But it was a Kickstarter. It's Imperial, something like that. But basically, it's a fantasy train game, for lack of a better way of saying it. Um, and I backed it, and it was originally supposed to be shipping in December of 2018, 2017. December of 2017 is when it was originally supposed to ship, and it did not get here until probably about Thanksgiving of last year, which is like a year and a half late.
Oof.
So like, there's definitely a wide variety, but
I think the fastest one I ever got was Joking Hazard. So if you ever played or ever watched Cyanide Happiness, the comic strip, and it's
read it.
it's super hilarious. But they created a Cards Against Humanity-esque game where you make a comic panel. So somebody will start the comic, and then everybody else has the panels they have to put in. They basically create at random a comic strip. And then, of course, you kind of like pick whatever panel seemed to like make it, or whatever strip was the funniest or whatever. Very similar to Cards Against Humanity, where you lay down like a category type thing, and then like everybody tries to respond to it with Hitler or whatever.
Yeah.
Super funny. That one came in really quick, but I think they mostly had that game done. They just had to like recoup the cost, which is nice with that one. I remember a long time ago, I did something called Z Year One, which was supposed to be this like zombie card game. I to this day I still don't even remember what it's supposed to do, but they basically had photo shoots with like models and everything. So all the cards were actually IRL photos. They weren't like artwork that was commissioned. They were all like people done up in zombie makeup. Really interesting. It never showed up. I think eventually at the end of the day they gave you like PDFs you could print off. That was a sad one. I mean, that was from like 2013. That was a long time ago. That was the only one of these that I don't think I ever got. Almost everything else eventually showed up. I did Exploding Kittens. That was probably one of the best backing ones I ever did. I came with the adult version, which is hilarious. There's like a black box and a red box. The black one has not safe for work cards in it, which is super fun. And then other than that, I think most of the stuff I backed were like little one-off comic book things, which I only have one outgoing one right now, which that's fun. So
yeah, pretty much everything I've done on Kickstarter has been board games, and most of them have been usually games being produced by board game companies. So like if it is a game that is on my, or like not a game that's on my shelf, but like games created by people that are already have games on my shelf,
right.
or I'm usually like, okay, they have a history of successfully printing and making games. I feel like I can probably back them and know I'm at least going to get something, whether the quality of the game as far as whether it's fun to play or not
Could vary.
anytime you're backing any sort of game product prior to it being completed, you don't know if it's going to be a good game or a crappy game. But at least knowing that it's going to be a finished product is a important thing.
Unless it's Chex Quest HD, then we know.
Then we know.
We know 100% perfect game. I should stream that sometime this week. That really should be something I do. Our friend Kyle just texted me. So apparently, this is something I've ranted about hundreds of times on this channel. We'll just change the subject because that's what we do. So Red Letter Media, who I think we're all fans of, has been kind of tearing Picard a new one, which I mean, not to anywhere near the eloquent level they do, also do not like that show and have been pretty critical of it. But if you know Red Letter Media, then you know for a fact that the reason it got so popular was its Plinkett reviews of Star Wars. So they have a character called Mr. Plinkett, and he's kind of this like super old serial killer who does Star Wars reviews. And his Star Wars reviews are longer than the Star Wars movies he's reviewing. And they're like,
Sounds about right.
but they come from somebody who obviously knows film and, you know, has some kind of extra knowledge that most people don't have, and how to write in movie plots and things like that. And so he's super, super critical. But then there's this whole entertaining like backstory about him being a serial killer. Anyway, Kyle knows I like this. It's super fun. And apparently they just released a Mr. Plinkett review of Picard. So,
Perfect.
So well, I'm super excited. So we should probably just end the podcast so I can go watch that right now.
All right. So you guys all have a good night.
I told him to come watch us, and he sent me a meme that shows the guy sweating with both buttons, and it says, "Watch Adam's podcast or new Plinkett." Go with the Plinkett. It's way better. It's far more entertaining than this.
I mean, like we like doing this, but there are things that are like we understand priorities.
We don't blame anybody. Watching us. Anyway, so on from that, because I don't want to get on the Picard thing because it's terrible. It's so bad. It is really, really, really bad. Speaking of Kickstarters, I did back a new. It is a second. Yes, the wife is tallying how many times I've told people to leave the podcast. Why don't we get anybody watching these, right? I don't understand. So I did back Kickstarter. I talked about comic books a little bit. So, well, you can't get very far. So Rebecca said she was going to leave. Wife, the podcast, not me. Come
on, podcast.
I did back some guys, and so artists and writers worked with Brian Michael Bendis on Powers are doing something called After Realm, or the After Realm, and it looks pretty good. But the nice thing about it is when I ordered it, it came with some like extra Powers artwork and like a little poster from Powers, which we of course have mentioned here that Powers is a fantastic comic book. So
it is.
Yeah, that's the only Kickstarter I have right now. That's the only comic book thing I've been doing lately either. Other than I was just telling you that I overspent probably on the Jim Lee X-Men #1 variant cover. Yeah, that's as far as comic book goes. That's kind of
you didn't overspend by a lot by any means. It's not like you went out and spent like $200 on a comic.
I did not. Oh yeah, no, no, wife. I did not do that.
Did not.
Yeah, so I spent $10 on it, which is pretty lofty. I thought it was lofty when I did it. So we're from the '80s and we lived through the '90s with tons of comic books. And the fun thing about the '90s is they overprinted the shit out of everything, because by that point people were getting rich off comic books, right? Like, granted, they were getting rich off Superman's first appearance and things like that, but there was this like super craze. So in the '90s, they overprinted all sorts of stuff. Like I have like 5 copies of The Death of Superman still in the wrapper with the fucking poster and everything, right? Like,
and what are they worth? $2?
Nothing, like zero, not like probably less than I paid for them. So this was in that kind of range too. But I'd seen that one before. You and I talked, like, we've seen bins full of those that run before. But I didn't own that particular one. So I was like, it's for the little comic book shop. Everything's really rough because they haven't been able to open. So I didn't care. But good news was I saw a bunch of them going for quite a bit more than that online. So like we were talking, I don't know if they have kind of fallen off the face of the earth and had a resurgence, or if people are just overly collecting them, or what the deal is. But, I saw one auction that was up to $70 some odd with 16 bids on it. So
it's not
granted, that was graded a 9.8 stuff, and I don't know what condition this one's in, but I thought that was pretty good.
Official grading usually will add like 4 or 5 times onto the value of something like that. So, or more sometimes.
Yeah.
if it's like, if especially if it's a 9.8, I mean that's
Yeah.
pretty
It's
awesome to
I don't know
see.
if I've seen anything higher than a 9.8. So
Sometimes you can take like brand new, fresh out of the box comics and like not even put on the shelf yet, and like they won't get a 9.8.
oh
So
yeah, no, I mean if you've ever watched the way the comics come in, they come in a bundle like a strap around them and they just get chucked off a truck. So 90% of the time when you get them there's already spine damage or something because they were like not zip
yeah,
tied together but those like steel bands or like plastic bands or whatever like wrapped around them. It's been a while since I've seen them come off a truck. Maybe they're better nowadays, but for the longest time I saw some shipments come into some places and they were literally just piles of books like strapped together and thrown off a truck, so that they don't ship them with much care. So it's even getting them straight off a truck, there's a good chance you're going to have some kind of bend in the spine or something and not get that 9.9 or 10. I don't know if I've ever
yeah.
seen a 10 at all. um I personally have never seen a 9.9. Like the highest I've ever seen anything rated is a 9.8. So um yeah, comic book stuff is fun.
It is.
It looks like they announced the new crossover event for the DC Warner Brothers universe, but it looks like it's going to be much smaller, obviously, than Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was giganto. A couple episode crossover between Batwoman, which I hear is just god awful. Like
Yeah.
everything
Last
I've
I
heard
heard,
of
it
it's
was pretty horrible in the ratings too, which
yeah.
makes me wonder how long it's going to keep hanging on there. But
Well, I'm guessing they're pulling this one in to help it because they're going to pair it up with the new Superman and Clark or Lois and Clark, whatever it's called, show. Which again, I haven't watched that at all. I will say that
even come out yet? Doesn't it start like this fall?
it got renewed. The Batgirl or whatever did.
Hmm.
I mean, who cares? It's Warner Brothers. They probably renew it just because they have a universe.
Yeah.
Even with terrible ratings, it's probably better than 90% of the stuff that they have.
I mean, Supergirl has never come close to its numbers it had on CBS for
Right.
its first season.
It also turned a lot
Um,
shittier since it came over from CBS. So
that's what I mean. I honestly haven't really seen it, so I can't really say.
I watched it
But
actually pretty religiously when it was on CBS, and I actually kind of enjoyed it, especially the lady who was running the newspaper.
mm,
Her character was great, and I don't know, it was just kind of even keel. It was fine. It was fine, and I was just watching it for fun. And then it came over, and they lost her, and then they kind of went in weird, wonky directions with some of the characters, and like it lost a lot of value, like production value, and
yeah.
so I just stopped watching it. The only show on that whole series that I think is redeemable is Flash. Um, and I
Which,
honestly haven't watched that in a handful of seasons now. Like it's been a while since I watched that.
yeah, I started working on catching up on some of the Flash because I've basically seen the first three seasons, and now we're on season six. I think six just stopped. So
Whatever
like
one they had the Speed Force God in was like kind of where I stopped watching it. So I don't know what season that was, but
that may have been three. Maybe I haven't even seen three. That doesn't seem right. I have to have seen three. Maybe that was four. I don't know. It's been a while. But I really like the Flash is the one that like I have enjoyed from the beginning, and even though I haven't really caught up on it recently, that's more of a me not watching as much TV lately rather than a problem with the Flash.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
if
yeah,
I
it was fresh and it was different. Like it was definitely still CW. It still
Mhm.
is CW, and like you can't get away from that. But it was done in a way that was not like Arrow was just repeatedly being brooding and trying to pretend like you're a depressed Batman.
Right.
Like,
That's exactly what it was.
um, and like Supergirl on CBS was it was okay. Like you said, it was okay. And when it moved away, it just like the life that was in it seemed to just kind of dissipate.
Yep.
What life was there, and so now it's just kind of like a form of like, hey, it's Supergirl. Legends of Tomorrow have actually gotten better.
Oh, good.
Season one was horrible. Season two was slightly better, but still not good. But season three, which is probably the last one I've seen of that too, was actually pretty decent and pretty watchable. And from what I've heard, again, haven't really kept up on it. It's continued to be at that reasonable level. Um, which that's the show that I feel like out of all of them probably has the most potential to be good or be horrible. Because anytime you're taking a bunch of B listers essentially and throwing them into a team, um, that is the perfect fodder for just complete crap or for somebody to step in and actually take it and turn it into something amazing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You have that capability where they can just say, "Oh yeah, run with it," right? Like there's not a lot. You're not risking a lot by having some interesting, weird storylines versus
Right.
giving the weird storylines to your headliners where you want them to stay safe and stick with the thing that's selling. Or like you said, you can take this group, which most people probably aren't invested in as much as say Flash, and then giving them. Now, did they ever announce the Green Lantern? Have they? Because at the end of Arrow, the one dude found the ring.
Mm.
When they ended the Arrow season, I didn't watch that. I wasn't watching at the time, but I did watch that part. And it's very obvious. He finds basically the Green Lantern ring. So I didn't know
To
if
my
they. I
knowledge,
haven't
they
seen
haven't
the.
announced anything
Okay,
like that.
I hadn't seen that either. So because that'd get me into watching something. I'd like to check out a Green Lantern show. That'd be fun.
Yeah, a Green Lantern show is one of those ones that could, again, either be done really well or really horribly.
With
Um,
CW, they'd have to keep it on Earth and like make it like a dated week to week Superman show, but it's just Green Lantern. Because if they went straight to space and started fighting like the cores and like the value would be so low, I don't think I'd ever want to
I
want to
think
see that. It'd
one
be
of
terrible.
Yeah, I think the problem with it on CW is it would end up kind of doing the Supergirl thing where once the budget is cut, like doing doing Supergirl, like you can get away with doing a lot of Earth stuff and it is all pretty much on Earth. But like if you want to do anything that's an actual threat to a Kryptonian, you kind of have to have space threats. And
Right.
as soon as they bring in anything that's like sci-fi-ish, it's like you can tell that it's just
Super bad.
horrible bad CG. Like, yeah.
Yeah, the
And I feel
CG
like
around like the Martian at first was super bad, and like it was super bad.
And I
Um,
think that's where the Flash kind of gets an advantage because pretty much everything that the Flash does, like even its bad, like Flash's bad
metahumans,
guys don't even have to be like all that crazy because the Flash just goes fast. So it's not
right?
like he's super strong and can't be destroyed or anything. And his own powers that you have every single episode are really just blur everything up. And then you're like, oh, okay, we can do that.
Phase through this wall. Okay, we won.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think Green Lantern would be hard to pull off because so much of it would have to be sci-fi-ish, even if you stayed on Earth, that it
His
would kind of have
powers
that
would have to
same
be
problem.
CG like
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Um, so we'll see. We'll see.
We will, or we won't, because
Maybe we won't.
it's WB DC move shows.
All I know is that I want the theaters to open. I
You
want to
think?
go see Bloodshot because when they finally open, there won't be any new movies to release. So Bloodshot that came out a week before all the theaters shut down will still be there.
You think it will?
I have no idea,
You haven't
but
watched it
I'm
yet.
assuming so. What?
You
I
haven't
have not
watched it
watched
yet.
it yet. Is it that bad?
No, no, I liked it. We talked about it a little bit.
We did. We did. It's on
I
streaming now, right?
I was on somewhere. Yep.
I think it is on streaming now.
It definitely is somewhere. I don't know where, but I did watch it. It is quite good. I mean, as far as what you would expect, it is good. Like it actually does. It ticks the boxes it needs to tick.
It's a Vin Diesel action flick.
It is, and it doesn't trip over itself too much. It doesn't take itself like it doesn't get too heavy. It's just it hits some points. It has good pacing, and you're kind of introduced to this kind of crazy Punisher-esque. Eventually, like it obviously leaves it wide open for future stuff. It's just an origin story, but they do a good job with it. I love Guy Pearce or whatever his name is. That plays kind of the bad guy. Hashtag spoilers. But
He's
I mean,
bad.
you find that out pretty quick. But yeah, I honestly thought they did a pretty good job with Bloodshot. I should probably watch it again just to see. It's been because I watched it like the week everything went down. The thing went down,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it. for just something basic and simple. Like, you're not gonna get the Marvel Infinity War out of it, but
Sure.
you don't need that in every movie. We can have simple movies that hit entertaining points that are just done well. Like, the movie just hits points and it goes, and you're like, okay, this works. This works just fine.
And speaking of Marvel, did you see that New Mutants has not been pushed directly to streaming, but they've given it a mid-August release date for theaters?
So we stand corrected. I stand corrected from last 2 weeks ago, because it hit. I guess the clarification was, I guess I didn't quite realize, is it actually hit Amazon's streaming video and then was taken back down. Or right, I think
it hit it as a pre-order.
Yeah. So it was kind of like which kind of led people to say, okay, they're just going to go straight to video with this, which is kind of what I said, because that's what kind of people were saying.
I mean, it seems sensible.
But I hope it does get a theater release. It really honestly looks super good. At least what I've seen of it. So I really hope it is good, and I would love to see a different take on X-Men without the main characters. I'm okay with exploring universes. I don't need Wolverine in every single X-Men movie that's ever made. As much as
but the people and the monies.
I am just as big a fan as Wolverine as anybody you'll find. I love Wolverine's character. He is the Vegeta of the X-Men, which is my jam. That's my favorite character in anything. I'm a Team Vegeta through and through. So I love his grumpy little troll attitude on everything. He's awesome. But I don't need him in every single X-Men story.
Grumpy little troll. Isn't Hugh Jackman really tall?
I think, what's Wolverine in the comics, 5'3", 5'4"?
Yeah, he's really small.
Yeah, so like that's what I mean, you know. But yes, Hugh Jackman is like 6'2" or higher. So that was the one weird thing about when I literally was one of the first thoughts when I cast him for the original, which he's awesome. Great. He's great. I would never downplay his Wolverine, but it was one of the first thing I thought. I was like, why he's so tall?
Which I will give Bryan Singer this for those first two X-Men movies. He did a lot of camera work, and that to give the perspective that made him look smaller than what he was.
He at least looked like he was as tall as everybody else, and he wasn't towering over like
he wasn't as tall as Hugh Jackman, at least from like appearances. Although I think by the time he came back for Days of Future Past, he was just kind of like, listen, Hugh Jackman has been tall in all of these movies since then. Whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I'm happy New Mutants is coming out. I hope it gets a theater release. I might actually go watch that one just to support it. I think I love the idea of it, and I hope it's super good.
And from what I have seen, read/heard, it sounds like Marvel is actually keeping the option of doing a sequel for it open, depending on how it does, which is kind of surprising to me because it seemed like it was kind of like the unwanted stepchild, ready to be kicked to the curb as soon as they made what money they could back out of it.
Let's be fair. Marvel seems to understand they're not quite Fox, and
that's true.
So I would not be surprised if they looked at that movie with a critical eye and said, you know what, this is actually pretty good. And yeah, it's not necessarily fitting into what we had planned, but we're creative folks. People are going to like this. Let's keep the option open, because if it does well and people do like it, then we have something we can work with here.
Sure. And it does seem as though it is rather self-contained in the sense that it doesn't really world build the X-Men franchise outside of its own characters, or if it does, it's very limited. So I mean, they could still establish these characters and that there are mutants and still be able to fit it into almost anything at
and
that
maybe
point.
Plug them into a world they build out somewhere else. And I mean, at this point, do you really need to world build the mutant world? I mean, we've had like 8 X-Men movies. Everybody knows who the X-Men are. So why waste the time on that too? So, so yeah, maybe that helped it out in the long run, is if they forgo like doing world building, because everybody already kind of understands mutants. They don't have to spend a lot of time on that. They can just tell their story. Then maybe that'll help it get like a little bit of legs. I would be super happy with that. I want cool new stuff. Stop remaking shit. Get some people in here with some crazy ideas and let them do crazy things. That's all I want. That's what I want. Absolutely. I want we need to find the next Edward Scissorhands. Like, I want something weird and fun and cool. That's what I want.
I feel like when you say that, more so than meaning actual new Edward Scissorhands, you're thinking a new Tim Burton who has not
I want a new Tim
started
Burton.
being Tim Burton.
I want a new Tim Burton, and I want him to make a Batman. I'm just kidding. But no, really, do it, because the Tim Burton movie Batmans were the best.
But I am very much looking forward to the eventual release of Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, 100%. So have they rescheduled that yet?
It's not coming out in the next few weeks.
Right, because it should be was June 4th or something, or was like the original? The sparkly Batman. Sparkly Batman. No. In fact, I am not. What's his name? Robert something.
Well, I'm not excited. Like, I don't hate Robert Pattinson. As an actor, but he has made some choices. Pattinson, you're correct.
Pattinson.
Yeah, like I've yet to really see him in anything that is wonderful. That is not Harry Potter or Twitter. Wow, I can't even talk.
Twilight.
That's the one. I can't even bring myself to say it.
Sparkly Batman. That's all.
Sparkly Batman. And I would not call those appearances necessarily great acting performances either. So we'll see. Like, yeah, there is a potential. Like, I want to see a preview, and I'll watch the movie either way. But I'm not saying it's going to be horrible just because he's in it. So we'll see.
The director...
I did not think that Ben Affleck would make me feel happy as Batman, but I was actually... You can say what you want about the movie itself, but Ben Affleck was a decent Batman.
He was a good Batman versus Superman Batman, which is the old grizzled, like, near retirement, like, the world has beat the crap out of me for a long time as I've been a crime fighter Batman. I agree. I thought he was a great Batman. I'm sorry that the role seemed to drive him to drinking or whatever, the whatever that was. I will say, in that same vein then, that this is supposed to be a very young Batman. So it kind of explores a different, like, this is him getting started as Batman, unlike you would see with the other origin stories where it's just a montage and all of a sudden he's Batman. Like, this is...
Oh, you mean it's going to be more like, I don't know, Batman Origins?
Batman Origins. That's supposed to be like Wolverine Origins. Batman Begins.
Batman Begins is what I meant.
Yeah, but Batman Begins, he's like...
Origins is a comic book series, which is probably going to be a pretty big influence on this coming movie. But Batman Begins is what I was thinking.
But Batman Begins, like, yes, they do the origin story and he comes back, but I just feel like he's already old. Not old, but like... This almost looks like it's a more teenager-esque, like very young adult type look at what if Batman was like really young and doing this stuff.
It's like the last 2 episodes of Gotham. Gotcha.
I haven't watched Gotham. I'm a terrible comic books person. Some people really like that show. I did not get into it, so. But I like the take on it. You know, he's supposed to be a much younger, like very novice, like learning this stuff for the first. It's in Batman Begins. He comes back and he's a ninja. Right, like he already like. I don't know what this take is versus that take, and I'm okay with them exploring it in a slightly different way. Maybe it'll be fine, but I am not excited. Nothing. I mean, this guy looks like he directed War of the Planet of the Apes and 10 Cloverfield Lane, which
are good movies.
Those are both fantastic movies. Well, I guess he didn't direct it. Why is he listed as a credit on this one then?
Is he a writer?
Maybe he's a writer.
Is this Matt Reeves or which one?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. He's at least been attached to good things.
He was a writer on War of the Planet of the Apes, but he's attached to some good things. So 10 Cloverfield, he was an executive producer. So he's got some stuff under his belt. Hopefully it's good. Even if it's passable, I'll be okay with that. It's so hard. Like, Batman's such a weird thing to tackle. Like, at this point, you're really just going for new audience. Because I feel like our age, we've been through the Tim Burton Batmans, and we've been through the Christopher Nolan Batmans. Like, I don't know where...
The unspeakable Batmans.
Yeah, and there's some terrible ones in there too, for sure. But to me, those two series, the first two and then those three from Christopher Nolan were awesome. Like I love those
Yeah.
movies. Absolutely love them. I hold them very dear to my heart. I love both the Jokers from the series. I love like everything there. So it's like to try to tackle that again, like your only play in my mind, at least it's going to be very hard to win me over. Very hard. I have a pretty open mind for this stuff. But I think at the end of the day, you're kind of going for that new young crowd that maybe hasn't watched those, because the Christopher Nolan movies now have been out for quite a while, and
Yeah.
you bring in him and maybe get that Twilight crowd, but Twilight's been out forever too, so I don't know who you're bringing in. The Twilight crowd is now older. Like I don't know how this movie plays.
This is the one thing I will give to our dear sparkling Batman, is he is apparently won over Christopher Nolan, because he is in the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet coming out this summer. And I trust Christopher Nolan not to just cast somebody because he's famous.
True.
And so if he can impress Christopher Nolan enough to get a role in a Christopher Nolan movie, I can give him enough credit that maybe he could be Batman.
Can we talk about how I'm way more excited for that movie than this one?
We absolutely can, because I am also way more excited about that movie.
I still have no idea what it's about other than that kind of first barrage of trailers that came out, and it is probably my most anticipated movie that I have seen coming out in a long time, and I want it to be out now. Like right now. Yeah. I want it.
Yep. Ever since frickin' The Prestige, like it doesn't matter if the Christopher Nolan's name is on it, I will go watch it. Like basically I went into The Prestige knowing it was the guy who did Batman Begins, and I was like, this seems like an interesting premise. I'll go watch this movie. Walked out like completely like, this man knows how to make movies and I don't care.
He absolutely does.
And absolutely everything he's made, even like even Dunkirk, which is like a very different kind of movie for him, still was such a him movie. It's not even funny. And like, I'm just like, I'm sold. I'll watch anything and everything he puts out.
I've not watched Dunkirk yet. Maybe that'll be my homework assignment for this.
You should. It is. I mean, it's a World War II movie, whereas
I know
obviously is like in this sci-fi-esque world, but it's a straight World War II movie. But the way he cuts the movie together and makes it work, it's totally a Christopher Nolan movie, and it's just perfect. It works perfectly.
I like that.
Yeah. Also, probably one of the best movies I ever watched in IMAX, Dunkirk.
I think I have it. So yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch that this week.
If you don't, I have a Blu-ray on my shelf to my right, and I will bring it over to you.
I don't think I have a Blu-ray player. Does people have those anymore?
Never mind.
Oh, the Xbox will play it. The Xbox, I do have. I have one. I think.
Okay, yeah.
Did you see? It looks like they are greenlighting a Demolition Man 2. All right, now let's be fair. It still has Sylvester Stallone in it. Whatever's keeping that man moving, I don't know. 2. This, according to this, it is a 2 with.
Hey, Otis stopped playing Civilization to join us.
Yay, Otis! Thanks for coming back. Demolition Man 2. Sylvester Stallone says sequel is in the works. An actual full-on sequel. So I will say this.
Can we just talk about how old Sylvester Stallone is, and whether or not he can even continue to act?
I have no idea. I mean, I assume they'll just CG him like they do Arnold. Arnold is CG'd now 90% of the time, so it's fine, I think. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but who cares?
I mean, I'm just saying this because I did watch the new Rambo movie that came out last year, and the entire time all I could think of is, how long can he keep running on steroids? Like, at some point, your body will just stop functioning.
Well, he's got enough money. He's got the good ones. He's got those real steroids.
I think at some point, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I will say this. I loved the, what was the 2 movies they did? God damn, I can't think of the...
Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I guess he was in at least one of those, right?
He was in 2, yeah.
Was he in both of them?
No, I don't think he was in the first one, but...
No, the other two big action movies that had the not deplorables. The all right. How are you not thinking of this?
I don't know. Oh, you're talking about the Expendables?
Yeah.
Is there 3 of those? Yeah.
Oh, there might be 3. I would not know. I did not definitely go in for a third one, but I did go in for the first 2, and they were super awesome. Granted, that was probably a little while ago. I don't know how he's going to do a new Demolition Man. I will say I use Demolition Man gifts constantly in the last 10 weeks because everybody forgets that movie. Yep, and they have the high five where they miss and then they do this because there was a thing that happened in their universe, and so people don't touch. Yes, the Expendables. They don't touch hand-to-hand contact anymore. So like everybody's coming up with these like new elbow things. I'm like, why are we not doing the Demolition Man thing for the thing with the high five? Rob Reiner or not Rob Reiner. Rob, what's his face? Yeah.
Oh, the Adam Sandler friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's one of the cops.
Steiner or whatever his name is. Yeah.
So 100% we should be doing the Demolition Man thing for the thing. I don't want to say the name because I want at least like 5 more views to come from YouTube. LOL. Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love Demolition Man. Wesley Snipes, I'm assuming, will not be in the second one because that guy doesn't exist anymore, as far as I can tell.
I don't know. Every once in a while, he still pokes his head out and says, "I want to be this thing."
Well, yeah.
That's about as far as it goes.
I think he's done some really bad, like really low budget movies to try to help pay off some of the tax debt or whatever he had. Like he was in some big trouble.
I feel like when Marvel first announced that they were considering doing Blade again as like part of the Marvel universe, that he was like, "Yeah, I'll do that."
And everybody's like,
nope.
Dude, the guy they cast for that, spot on. Like I'm stoked. He was the one that was he played the bad guy, right? In Fireman. Am I thinking about the right guy?
I don't know. I may have missed this little bit of news.
Oh, it was a while ago. I cannot say his name at all. Mahershala Ali.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. I did see that because it's the guy who was the bad guy in Luke Cage.
Yeah, Power Man. Yeah, sorry, Luke Cage. But yeah, he was one of the best characters in Luke Cage by far. I think he'll do a great job. I mean, it kind of helps. He's got kind of a Wesley Snipes-esque look to him already, so I guess maybe that helps. Maybe it hurts. I don't know, but I think
it's okay.
I'll be okay with it. You should watch Blade again. I actually went back and watched that like a couple months ago, the first one, and it holds up. It's so good.
Solid. Yeah. The second one is the one that Guillermo del Toro. Okay, so am I saying his name right? I don't even know. The guy who made Hellboy and all those other ones. He did the second one, and a lot of people talk about that one being the better of the two, but I always didn't care for that one so much.
The first one's the best one by far. Yeah. The only problem is that last fight scene is really dated now with some of the CG and the blood work. Yeah. But other than that, the movie is pretty great. I like it a lot. But yeah, they are making a Demolition Man 2. So there's that.
So I've officially decided that if DC had any not even DC, if Warner Brothers had any sense of like intelligence, not intelligence because that's not the right word, but like an entertainment awareness of what works and doesn't work, what they would do before they made any more Batman movies is they would make a HBO, since WB owns HBO, they would make an HBO miniseries called Batman: The Long Halloween, and they would just adapt The Long Halloween, and it would be 12-parter, takes place over the course of a year, 12 different holidays. It's a great story. It's like old school, like it's very close to like the beginning of Batman. It's like a throwback sort of story where it's like he's no longer like brand new. He's kind of established, but he's still getting a feel for things. Harvey Dent is still an attorney. And yeah, it's just very, very sad that it's not there. That's not going to happen because WB doesn't know how to deal with DC, and it's sad.
It is totally that.
Yeah, neck bearded.
Neck bearded up. Hey, stop by Gadget. I got nothing. DC's crazy, cuckoo, bonkers. I would totally watch the hell out of that. I did see today on, was it comicbook.com, they're talking again that they're teasing possibly getting the Snyder Cut Justice League, which we've talked about a couple times. But it's like, I feel like every week now there's a new, we're going to get the Snyder Cut.
Don't get me wrong.
So bad.
I think that if it ever did come out, it would probably be a better conclusion to the trilogy, if you will, of Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and then the Justice League movie. But I don't think it's going to make that movie into a great movie by any means, which is what I think a lot of fanboys seem to be convinced that it would do.
Right.
It'd probably be better in the sense that it would be a singular vision. But if people who hated the first two, they're going to hate that one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to make a big enough difference of anything, but I would still want to watch it for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Just for the lulz, maybe. Oh, all right. Do you got anything else on your list?
The only other thing on my list, which has absolutely no details, was just MTG Arena, which we kind of already talked about that briefly.
Yeah.
And how you hate it because it's not fast.
I do kind of hate it because it's not fast. Sometimes it's fast and I win. Sometimes I'm playing a blue deck and it takes 30 minutes for him to scry through his deck on a turn. Like those are the two versions of the game I seem to get, and I don't appreciate it at all for those the latter half of that. So
yeah, the thing that bothers me in that game is when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the options that this person has, just as far as what's showing on the board, and I'm like, you literally just drew one card. You have two cards in your hand. You have 3 mana. You don't have options.
You have
either
3
you're doing
health
something
left.
or you're not. Like, it's going to be fine.
Yep.
Yeah, that annoys me when that happens as well.
Otis was jumping in on I streamed it a little bit last night, and we did talk a little bit about Legends of Runeterra, which is the Riot game that came out. It's more of a Hearthstone-esque, I would say. It's closer to that than Magic. But like Hearthstone, it runs the every turn you get another mana thing. So the worst part to my blue deck sucks, scrying sucks, like taking 30 minutes to do anything sucks. But honestly, the worst part about Magic is managing your mana and your deck. And that time where you just need anything and all you do is draw 3 planes in a row and then die. Like that is the worst. Or you getting mana choked. My deck can basically, the main run I'm running is a white black deck. It's very aggro. It's a lot of health. And it can run on 4 mana. Once I draw that 4th mana, I honestly don't need any more. So any mana I draw past 4, it almost hurts my chances of winning. So yeah, that part gets really annoying. Sometimes you just have, because you have to have enough in there. I only run like 18. Like I don't even run a full 20. Wow. And it usually runs fine.
4 is kind of the standard, but
yeah, I don't know. Like it just depends on who you're talking to and what your mana curve is in the deck. And all my stuff is super cheap, so running 24 just kind of hurts the deck. So I run at like 18, and it's light. I'm not gonna argue with that, but it most of the time works really well because I only need to get a couple out. But it sucks when like you're running that low and then all of a sudden you draw like 6 of them in a row, which has happened to me. It's literally like, what? Come on.
While I agree and I understand with the idea of just getting an extra mana every turn automatically and not building that into it, I do think that there is, not that it makes it a better game, but there is an element to having the mana in the deck like that, where it does allow you to make adjustments and changes and take those risks by like cutting back on mana to
Right.
add in other cards. Whereas that element of the deck building is kind of completely stripped away when you just go to the baseline mana. And yeah, in some ways it makes it fair because everybody just knows exactly what to expect from turn to turn as far as mana availability. But there is something to be said about being able to construct your deck to your mindset or your deck's needs as far as
That was
making sure it's there, or being able to take a chance to say, you know what, I don't need to make sure I have it land on every play.
That's kind of where I went with it. Is it's like the counter argument, like you just said, is the customization you can have of your deck. It makes Magic a very insane game when it comes from deck to deck. Like you don't always know what you're going to get with, like, a lot of people in that deck, and a lot of people pulling all, like, they run the same type of deck over and over and over. And so you definitely see those, but then there's just like some dude who just has the most random thing and it makes no sense, but it worked. Like I played a black deck the other day, a black white deck that literally only had 4 creatures in the entire deck. Everything else was control, like remove characters, and there was just 4 giant dudes. And every hand, like I screenshotted the discard pile at the end, and everything was just a destroy monster, do 4 damage, like just that's all it was.
Yeah.
There was 20 cards, and they were all removal cards. He ended up winning at the end of the day. That is the fun thing about Magic. Where when I played Hearthstone, and granted I didn't put like an insane amount of time in Hearthstone, but that really did boil down to like there's just a couple handful of things that like people did, because the pacing of the game is the same, like you said, every single time. So like you have to pace that deck with the linear mana growth, where like if you're a green deck or something, you can put in a bunch of cards that help you pull out all sorts of mana, like right first off the deck to get some big creatures out. Or if you're my deck, you can trim out a lot of mana because you really don't need any. You just need enough to get started. If my starting hand has 3 in it, I'm good to go. Like I could just roll. And I almost don't need any more. I do need a couple more throughout, just because there's a couple. If the game lasts more than 5 turns or rounds or whatever, I need a couple more. But that's it. Like, so it does make the game complicated in a good way, which is nice.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, there's a nostalgia aspect to Magic too. And beyond even that, the reality of it is, I don't think there's any other company doing anything like that, whether a video game company or otherwise, that really has the amount of personnel putting time into play testing every design aspect of every card and the way it interfaces with not only the set it's in, but the sets that came before it and the sets that are planning already being worked on that are coming out. Like there's so much investment that Wizards of the Coast puts into Magic, and they make so much money off of it. Like it makes sense. But like there is something just about the design of the cards that, like when I played Hearthstone, it was well done. It was Blizzard, so of course it was well done. But like at the end of the day, when I played it, I was like, this is neat, it works well, but it doesn't feel like it has the same depth to me as what Magic has.
I know, and I don't think that's the appeal of it. It's quicker, it's a little more simple, so it's less about. It's more about knowing how the mechanics work and executing them well, than it is about coming up with insane weird decks, right? Like in my experience with Hearthstone, there's like a handful of meta decks that you run, and you just get good. You just get good at playing those synergies and knowing what to block and what not to block, and it's more about the tactic itself than the deck, I guess.
Sure.
But it is, to me, it's always felt far more simple to play. It's also faster paced, which is nice.
Sure.
And I guess that's how I felt
what
about.
Was a lie? Was it remembering Toxic a lie or something that we said?
That's how I felt about Runeterra too. It was very, very similar to that. Like I think it's not going after Magic; it's going after Hearthstone.
Sure.
I've only played like 4. I think they've all been against the computer so far, just like running through the tutorial. But it's fine. It runs really well. It's fairly simple, but it's a good game if somebody's looking for a card game.
Yeah. I just like
Magic people are crazy. My brother-in-law is a certified Magic tournament judge.
I am not surprised. I was on my path to becoming that at one point in time back when we were playing the actual Magic game quite a bit, not the online one. And then about the time I was getting ready to take my test for it, everybody stopped playing, and I was like, all right, whatever. But it's really not that. Like, if you understand the rules of the game, which granted there are a lot of little things,
Especially nowadays,
years.
man. Like,
yeah,
when I first came back into I hadn't played since like way back, like 90s. And I didn't get heavy back in when the 2015 game came out, the video game version of it. I got really heavy into that for quite a while, and I was like, what is all of and now I'm back in it again with Arena, and it's like there's way more stuff, like the modifiers on the cards that let you do all sorts of weird tricks.
Yeah,
it's pretty intense, but none of it's so hard that you like you were probably getting to say is it's not so complicated that it's hard to understand. They're
right.
pretty basic. It just gets complicated because there's so many basic things you can do. It's not any one thing. It's just so many things. The thing that gets crazy for me now is the mutations. Like, that is bonkers to me. Like, you can have this creature that's got like 3 mutations on it. Now he's got 400 things in his description. Like, I couldn't imagine playing that in real life and trying to keep track of a stack of like 6 mutations on a creature and every single thing it can do.
Yeah, but when the problem is that you haven't, well, it's not a problem, but like you haven't really seen it a whole lot before now because you just kind of started playing. But for people who are like used to playing and seeing those decks quite a bit, the thing of it is all those mutated creatures, like, yeah, they get pretty big and powerful in of themselves, but all it takes is one murder card and it's all gone.
Except for there's that mutation that does a random buff, and almost 99.999% of the time it does hexproof when I play against it. Or they mutate that green 2/1 hexproof character, like but yes, no, you're right. It is putting a lot of eggs in one basket, and if somebody has enough removal cards and can get that thing off the table, it's devastating to your deck. Yeah. And I as soon as I identify it, I save all mine until because I heal enough that I can usually take several big hits, and then I wait for them to get down to like 1 or 2 cards in their hand that thing's been mutated 6 times, and then I swipe it off the table, and then they just quit.
yeah. With the mutates, that's usually how it happens, but yeah. But if they can get it rolling pretty quick and like keep piling on it, and you don't have any way to take care of it, then that's the game too.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Or they get that hexproof. That's the worst one. I just quit as soon as that happens because it's like, what am I going to do with this? All right. Well, Magic's fun.
Or is it?
It's both. It both sucks and is fun.
We should end our podcast by streaming me beating you in Magic.
Oh, yes. We probably should. I think we talked a little bit. Oh, yeah. We were talking about Red Letter Media putting out a new Plinkett review of the worst Star Trek since STD.
Discovery?
No, Picard.
STD? No, I know. But
yeah. STD is Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, which is worse than Picard, in my opinion. But Picard is super, super bad. But apparently they greenlight a Pike and Spock spin-off show from STD. So if you watch STD at all, there was quite a bit of the second season where Pike, who actually was the original before Kirk Enterprise captain, and then that for the pilot, and then they switched over to Kirk.
Which is, I do think one of the coolest things though is how the Star Trek universe integrated that pilot
instead of just pretending that Kirk is still because most times they would just be like, oh, it's just new actor, we're not even going to mention it. But yeah, they actually made that a thing, which is kind of fun. But he is the only part of STD that was any good that I saw was the run with Pike, and I don't know if he's still on the show or not, but
I'm going to guess not, since they're spinning him off.
Yeah, I would guess not as well. I did not finish the second or whatever it was, third season. I don't remember what. I don't even
It
know.
was
I
the
don't even
second.
care. It's terrible. It's so bad. It's not Star Trek at all. But I'm not excited for this either, because given the fact that everything that they have put out so far, even though he was probably the best part of Discovery, I would assume this is going to be god awful.
Or at least just awful.
No, nope, god awful. um, yeah, because they're talking about like Section 31 and all this crap, which is all garbage. It's all garbage. This is all garbage. I am not excited. Alex Kurtzman is involved somehow, which is the bane of all Star Trek existence, as far as I'm concerned.
The only thing he ever did that was worthwhile was the pilot for Fringe. That was it.
There you go.
That was it.
He should have retired right then, because everything else has been the worst.
Well, okay, let me take that back, because he was the co-writer of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, which granted were not very Star Trekky, but they were good movies.
They are fun sci-fi action flicks. They are not Star Trek movies. I did enjoy them, but
I will
if
still
anything,
classify them as good, though, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
So,
no,
so there are other things that he's done, but I get what you're saying. For Star Trek fans,
because of that, they are bringing him in to do Star Trek television shows, which can't be Abrams, Star Trek action flicks. And he doesn't know what Star Trek is at all. He's never watched a single episode. I guarantee it. He doesn't know. And so, yes, he was a part of something that, in spite of himself, that was a fine action flick that steals the Star Trek name and is fun to watch. I do enjoy them, but they're not Star Trek. I would argue most of the movies, even the other movies, are not Star Trek. Very rarely do the movies do the equation that you need to have for a Roddenberry Star Trek episode, which is fine. Whatever, it's fine. But these series that he's working on or running or whatever the heck he does with them, some executive producer, I don't know, but are terrible, and they don't understand Trek at all. Nothing shows that more. Star Trek Discovery tries, fails miserably. And then Picard is only better in the fact that it's got Picard in it, right? So Patrick Stewart is good. His character's not good. The writing is terrible, but I like him, and I think that's the only thing that keeps it separated.
And probably the bonus, and having not watched any of Picard, I can't say, but I imagine the bonus of having like the little nostalgic flashbacks, not flashbacks, but like the guest characters from Next Generation and other old Star Trek
That's
stuff
the
probably
only
helped
thing it's
in
holding
some
on. Yeah.
ways.
Yes, it does. It does. Even though they're terrible, they're not written well. They aren't the characters that you expect them to be. Granted, it's been a long time, so you can play it off a little bit, but nothing is the way it's supposed to be. And so, yes, the only thing you're holding on to is you have a little nostalgia factor when the actors show up, but they're not playing their same characters. Yes, by name they're the same, but they aren't the characters that you remember in any way, shape, or form. And it sucks because, you see things like Patrick Stewart talking about this when he is flat out going like, this is not going to be your, the Jean-Luc and people interview him like he's supposed. He didn't write the fucking character, right? He doesn't know, right?
Sure.
Yes, he played him, and I'm sure he has some authoritative voice in whether this is something Jean-Luc would do or not. But at the end of the day, he's not a writer. He didn't write the character. He didn't write the show. He didn't write the situations they were in. He just acted them out. And I think that's a distinction that really needs to be made.
And on some level, I think the case of Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker in like the last movie, in The Last Jedi, is a great example of, at the end of the day, like when you're an actor and you sign up for something, like even if you have some say in it, you're not going to determine what the plot is for the show or the movie that you're in.
Right. Well, it works both ways, right? Like,
right.
Just because he played Luke Skywalker doesn't mean he would be the best person to write a Luke Skywalker part.
Sure.
In fact, I would say he would probably be quite freaking terrible at it. Just like I'm saying that Patrick Stewart, who I adore, is probably really bad at writing or endorsing the character that he's playing in this show, because he seems to be shopping it around like this is some cool thing that he's doing. But in reality, he's abandoned the character. Like, he doesn't understand the role and what it's supposed to be like, right? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So he's sitting there championing, this is not the Star Trek you knew. Well, yeah, because it's not fucking Star Trek. It's not the Star Trek I knew. This isn't Star Trek at all. If you wanted to make a sci-fi show about this garbage, then go make. I'm in it again. We say every other, but like, go make a fucking show. Don't steal Star Trek's name.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, Patrick. I love you. I love you to death, but you don't fucking know what you're talking about, and that's fine. You're just, it's go away. Stop rooting Star Trek.
Go back.
Go watch Orville. Go watch the Orville. It's infinitely better Star Trek than anything that's come out since Voyager. It is definitely the best Star Trek that's come out. And I'm saying that as somebody who's not the world's biggest Seth MacFarlane fan. I actually didn't watch that show for the longest time because I don't necessarily like him. And somebody finally told me I was being stupid, and I went and checked it. And I read up on it, and he is a big Trekkie, and he wanted to make Star Trek, so he did. And it's infinitely better than any Star Trek that's been out since Voyager. It's so good. Watch the Orville. It
is good, and you should watch it. I agree. It has two guys with glasses and various...
And neckbeards. Your neckbeard isn't so neckbeardy anymore.
Various levels of beards.
The various beard glasses wearing nerds.
I will say one of my
favorite... That rolls right off the tongue.
One of my favorite things to do is look at the... well, not that I've done it, but in the past when I've looked up our YouTube channel stuff, or your YouTube channel stuff, and seeing the different clip arts from like each week, every 2 weeks, and seeing the difference in my facial hair. It's pretty much never exactly the same.
That's probably true. I can't argue with that. I do believe that I'm getting to the point now that if I get another payout on Twitch, I'm going to use that money to pay for somebody to do a stinger screen for our podcast off Fiverr or something. Have somebody make like a podcast episode with their faces on it, so it's not just a screenshot from
boing, boing.
That half the time is blurry for one of us, and the other time one of us has our eyes crossed, or who knows what.
How much money are you going to give me to make this this thing?
Well, it's Fiverr. It's $5. If you want to get creative, you get creative. Otherwise, at some point, you're going to have to buy a theme music. I want to get theme music, and I want to get like a good intro screen / YouTube screen.
YouTube.
Maybe someday we'll make a name for it too. That's not two guys with glasses and varying lengths of beards.
I don't think we're ever going to come up with a name.
That's fine.
And it is fine.
It is fine. All right, Ryan. Well, we've come basically to the end of our 2 hours. This is second week of portrait mode. I'm digging it. I like it. It was a little...
I like it when my face gets big.
Well, I would do that in either mode. But yeah, so this is fun. This is episode 12, I believe.
We're so far beyond the cutoff point.
So it's just a thing we do now because we just keep doing it. We've done 11 episodes of this. This is episode 12. If anybody's still out there watching, and you didn't leave when I told you to the 3-4 times I told you to stop watching, we appreciate you sticking by and chatting with us. We had a handful of people come in today, and it was super fun to get some feedback and talk. This is kind of what we want with this show, is we just bring up some topics, and if people want to chat and bring up some stuff during the show, we'll just wing it. We'll do it live.
Yeah.
If you appreciate what you've seen here, or at least enjoyed it in some level and want to check out any of our other ones, they are on YouTube. You can click in the panel below. If you're seeing this on YouTube, note in the description I have I try to put like time boxing for some of the subjects because I know this is 2 hours long, so maybe you want to skip around, and that's fine. Please do that. If you're also watching this on any platform, please like, subscribe, share, add a comment, hit a bell notification, whatever buttons you see around the video, just start clicking all of them. I'm sure that'll help the algorithm. Just click everything. And then finally, if you want to keep up on other things we're doing, because I do stream here 5 nights a week and some other various things, including board game nights that are coming up, please check out my socials. That includes Discord, Twitter, Instagram. That's all down below in the panels or will be linked in the description below on YouTube.
Here's the real question. Is Otis J going to come up to the land of the free this weekend and play board games with us at Adam's house as we stream?
He's welcome to. We could do that. I'm sure we could do another board game night, and then we'll actually stream it. I have the rig set up. It's a beautiful thing.
Probably will not happen, but that'll still be fun if it was. Yeah.
Check out the merch too. I got a merch store below. Stickers are super nice. The t-shirt's decent. I'm a good salesman. I actually don't know what the t-shirt looks like.
Stickers are great.
The t-shirt I have, my wife made me, so that one is primo. I have not actually ordered the shirts off the store to see what they're like, but they seem like they should be fine. But I have had the stickers, and they're fantastic.
Nice.
So anyway, I guess that's all I got. Ryan, you got anything before you let everybody go tonight?
Nope, not really. Other than thanks for talking with us. And by talking with us, I mean watching us and listening to us and sometimes typing to us.
Typing to us?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got.
Nintendo,
play Pokemon. Yeah. Maybe we'll link our IDs so you can add us. Or we won't. I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows?
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to wrap this up. Everybody, thanks for stopping by. Goodbye, Internet. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for that follow.